Okay, so here we are the next morning. Last night I came and I cut this one in half, and what I did is I put those samples in the freezer, and so they could be freezing. And what I'm going to show you here is the bonds that we got. I went thinner on the green, as you can see, with the 380 fescue, and you can see it's got a nice bond in there. It's pretty. It still feels like it needs some curing. It's only been about 16 to 18 hours since I did the sample, and you can see I went extremely thick on the glue here. If you remember when I was pouring it on yesterday, I did some thick, I did some thin. On the fescue, there's that one. Here is the canine. Canine's pretty thin. This one I got, you can see where it's thin and where it's thick. Okay, and I only came down after I initially poured it and placed them down. I had come back and I had only pressed them once. I probably should have pressed it a second time. I came back after a half hour, pressed them down. I came back after an hour, I thought they looked okay, so I just left them alone. But I probably should have pressed them a second time, just to make sure that the air bubbles were getting out, because I can see in here that I did leave some air bubbles. And that just, it's really no big deal, because what I'll show you is, most turf companies, what we do when we're installing, a lot of people like to test it by tearing it away, but it's an untrue test. The true test of a turf is when you pull up on it, okay? When you're pulling, okay? And that's how it's going to get done. And an install, once it's installed, you're not going to find an edge. You shouldn't find an edge. Because, as you can see, if you get a good seam, you're not going to see it anyways. So, let's try the canine. I mean, I can barely grip the canine as it is, but I'm trying to get a good grip on it. But it's not going to come up, I promise you that. This is the green, this was the clear, this is the clear too. They all have a good strong bond. I still believe that they could cure probably for another 3 or 4 hours. But, like I said, after that hour when I came back, all of them were ready to have infill put in. All of them were ready to, for brooming, power brooming. So this was the first type. I called this like the Tiger tape. I mean, I'm pretty sure I've seen, I'm almost positive Tiger sells this type of brand, but they all do come from Georgia. So this was the second tape that you guys had me test for Foreverlawn. I got the 380 fescue again. I'm just going to hold it down and I'm pull up on it. Not going anywhere. Just pull up. It's just not going to go anywhere. Okay. All these are the same. I probably should go grab some pliers or something to pull up on it. Okay. But you can see we got a decent bond. I mean, I missed half the thing as it was, and it's strong. It's just barely pulling it. And I got a good grip on that baby. They're green. Same thing. I can rip some of it off. Because like I said, I did leave some air holes. I barely did a really thin, extremely thin coat on this glue right here. But it was already getting into the fabric. I mean, the difference in our T&D and our green is that if you look on the back, the green did go in deeper. Okay? And that's just the type of glue that it is. It will come in deeper. One comes down a little bit and goes back towards the turf. One comes down and does both. So on the green, I would always go about, I would say, an 1/8 to a 1/16 of an inch spread when I'm spreading out the glue, the thickness of it, because then you're always going to get a good strong bond there. Okay, and you can see where I actually missed a lot of this glue. I mean, I really did a crappy example of it, right? You can see I just didn't do it thick enough. Okay, but you can see why there's no glue here, yet there's glue all around these edges right here, because it had spread out and reached into the turf, and it had spread out and reached out to the turf to grab it. Okay, most glues, which is a glue, is just an adhesive, and it'll just grab whatever you put there. Ours is actually going to reach out and try to find more, because it needs to bind to something. Okay, so let's finish our pull test on these. And this is the Endura backing, not going anywhere. And the other Endura backing is just barely, not even that. It's just not moving. I didn't do a very good job on that bond as well. But for the small test that we did, I mean, I personally think that it probably bonded to this tape a little bit better. I do like this tape because of the quality of the backing. It looked like it did have a waterproofing material on it, and on this side, which looks like it'd be a good weed barrier. And either one of them are good weed barriers. At that point, you'd already put your compost down anyways, or your granite sub base if you're using granite or any other base. I'm gonna go ahead and cut these in half again on this one. Show you what kind of a bond I got with these. Here's the Endura, went through there, pretty decent. Okay. That's nice. Okay. Alright. Canine grass is really good. I think a canine, your canine brand, really good brand. I mean, I like it a lot. I think it's got a nice statue to it. It's got a nice tight curl, weave in there, and all of them are good turfs. But not much more you can say. That's how you install our glue. That's how you use it. I like the TND myself just because it's thicker. It's easier to manipulate. It's just making sure you're getting that solid 1/32 of an inch, 1/16 of an inch. And again, it's 1/16 to 1/8. And that's how it'll spread out. You can see the difference in the spreads, how it spreads. Even after I did this one, I overglued it, but still, if I poured that much, it's going to go that far on its own. And on these, it's just a little bit different tape. I haven't had the opportunity to try it out and do all the other good stuff. I will put some of these in the freezer as well. Come back and forward that to you in the future and just see how they hold up. I mean, the Endura, I'm not sure how much bend there is to them anyways, but very solid. I'm sure that's got a good fall rating as well. But that's about it. If there's any questions, you have any need for an answer, you just go ahead and call me. 714-280-6866. I'll be happy to test out any other turf that you have, or send me what you want, any kind of tape that you want. But like I said, I personally prefer our TND only because it's thicker, it's more manipulative, you can totally do what you want with it. And again, I would just spray the bottom of the tape and also the top of the glue just to make it go faster. Other than that, you do not have to spray it. You can just let it sit there and just let it do its job and just put it down. Moisture in the air, should you have any, will help it. If you don't have any, well, that's what we got sprayers for, and that's how it will work. But other than that, I think I love both of our products. Green is good because you can hide your messes. You won't see any of, well, you wouldn't see any of this anyways. That's all cuttable. You can actually cut that away from your turf and just leave it at that. You know, it's all easily trimmed off. But you can see I really did go too thick. It's just way too thick. So I would keep it at a 1/16 to a 32nd of an inch, and then just do the 1/8 to a 16th on the greens. But other than that, I think both products did fine. Their pull tests on all of them are great. I mean, I can lift quite a lot of weight, and I think it went well. But thank you, and like I said, if you have any questions, just contact us at xgsonline.com and go check out our website.